Hello everyone, Waxo here, and welcome to the second episode of the Waxo Report for the week of January 18th through the 22nd. It's been quite a week for games, one filled with rumors, announcements, some shocking decisions, and even reversals on some of those decisions. So, without further ado, let's hop into this week's Waxo Report. I'll start off by talking about what I've been playing lately, Apex Legends. I've been playing Apex in anticipation of the upcoming 8th season, which is set to release at the beginning of February. It introduces a new legend, weapon, and changes to King's Canyon, the original of the 3 maps in rotation. Though it took me a while to really get into the Battle Royale, having had played when it launched and then on and off for a while, I really got into it around Season 4 and have consistently played since then, with small breaks from time to time. The Reason has made some questionable choices over the course, whether it's unwanted changes in the Battle Pass progression or rather expensive monetization of event items. It's hardly deniable just how fun and frantic this Battle Royale can be once you really get into it. Alright, that's enough about Apex. It's time for some news. Alright, this was probably one of the biggest and most upsetting announcements to come out of the week. On Friday morning, Microsoft announced that they would be rolling out major changes in the prices of their Xbox Live Gold service. The changes would see their 1-month subscription rise from $9.99 to $10.99. 3 months would go from $24 to $29, and their 6-month, which would be the replacement for the full year option, to $59.99. That would effectively double the price of Gold, placing a full year of the online service at $120, where previously it was only $60. It should also be noted that Xbox Live also still requires a Gold membership in order to play free-to-play games online. So those of you out there who only play Apex, Fortnite, and others would be paying $120 a year just to be playing those titles. Though talks of Microsoft wanting to change Gold prices have been floating around since the latter half of last year, this big of a change, and definitely one for the worst, was shocking, especially for a company that had positioned themselves as the consumer-friendly option on the console gaming marketplace. Fans were rightfully livid at the news and took to Twitter and Reddit to express their frustrations with the price hikes. Thankfully, as of Friday night, Microsoft has reached out to say that the prices for Xbox Live Gold will stay how they were before the proposed changes, as well as having announced that they will allow free-to-play games to in fact be played for free without needing Gold. What I have to say about the whole situation is this. I'm glad that Microsoft at the end of the day listened to fans and reversed their decision, and fans should be proud that their voices were actually heard and caused positive change. That being said, this should not be the norm for Microsoft or any other company out there. Decisions like these need to be evaluated much more closely before they're offered to the public, because in no way, during a pandemic or not, would there ever be positive feedback on the doubling of an online service from your community. It was not only tone deaf, it was an incredibly ignorant move that didn't at all consider the player. In Microsoft's case, it was clearly an effort to push people toward the Game Pass Ultimate service, and though I will preach as to how amazing of a service it really is, essentially attempting to force your player base into it is not the way to go. In other, less aggravating Xbox-related news, Tomonobu Itagaki, former game director of titles such as Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive, has formed new studio Itagaki Games. What makes this story so interesting is that Itagaki has expressed interest in wanting to work with Microsoft, having stated that he would be honored to join with his old partner, since way back in the original Xbox days, they brought Ninja Gaiden to the platform exclusively. Though Tecmo, the company he had a falling out with, still owns the Ninja Gaiden IP, I wonder that, if Microsoft does end up striking a deal with Itagaki, that they could possibly acquire the IP from Tecmo, and bring back the long dormant franchise for Xbox and PC. That'd be an interesting move from the tech giant. Though rumors in the industry are very hit or miss and more likely to be the latter than the former, some at times do seem to be a little more believable when you look at it from a certain perspective. One rumor that showed up this week that does seem plausible is centered around this year's upcoming Battlefield title. News broke on Monday that the next Battlefield may not only be set in the present day, but also heavily inspired by Battlefield 3 and could feature multiplayer that supports up to 128 players. The reason this news seems believable to me is because it would be the smart move for EA and DICE. With modern settings becoming popular again in FPS, as well as large player counts thanks to the rise of Battle Royale, for Battlefield to follow these trends in an effort to get in good faith with their crowd after the ever so divisive Battlefield 5, harkening back to a game that was very beloved in the community would be the way to do so. The only way to really know is for DICE to speak on the matter, which they've stated that they will do so sometime around April. For those who want to check out the video from the apparent infamous DICE leaker, I'll link the video down below. In some small but good news for PlayStation fans this week, Guerrilla Games, developers of Horizon Zero Dawn, have slowed updates for the PC port of the 2017 hit in order to focus on the upcoming sequel, Forbidden West. Though the port still has some issues with optimization, crashes, and bugs, Guerrilla Games promises to continue updating the game, just at a slower rate so that they can focus on hitting the 2021 release date for Forbidden West. On Thursday, Capcom dropped a massive preview for Resident Evil Village, the direct sequel to 2017's Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, and next major entry to the long-running survival horror franchise. The showcase dropped the game's release date, which is set for May 7th, a demo exclusively on PS5, and the reveal of a multiplayer mode called Reverse, which, if I'm being honest, looks kinda bad. It's a weird third-person shooter in which you play as popular characters within the series, and when you die, or something, you turn into one of the franchise's villains. Honestly, just looks on the generic side of things. Other than that though, Resident Evil Village is looking pretty great as of now, so we'll see what becomes of it when it drops later this year. As for other horror games that you can get your hands on, psychological horror game The Medium is finally upon us. Announced during the summer Xbox event, the game follows a medium who can connect to a dark, otherworldly spirit plane and traverse around it. Inspired heavily by Silent Hill and Resident Evil, the major feature it brings to the table is that it dual renders its real world and spirit world as you search for clues in both of them simultaneously. I'll certainly give it a shot whenever I can get my hands on an Xbox Series X. As the first major exclusive for the Series X, it is set to release next week on January 28th. To wrap things up, let's talk about what's coming to the channel in the near future. On the Waxo Plays Twitter, I announced that, in fact, I won't be doing a Cyberpunk review, and instead will use Cyberpunk as a stepping stone to talk about a grander issue that I've been observing in the industry. The reason for canceling the review is simply because I didn't think that what I had scripted and recorded felt true to how I felt about the game in retrospect. And I just didn't think that putting that out would have been the right thing. As to not skimp on my feelings on the game, I will say that there is quite a bit that I really liked about Cyberpunk 2077, and I still find myself going back to it and playing through side jobs and gigs, but a lot of it is marred by the issues that the game had during my first playthroughs. Again, if I move forward with another project, I'll elaborate more. As for something that is coming soon, I am doing an underlooked on Little Nightmares before the launch of its sequel on consoles on February 11th. You can expect that coming in the very near future. That is where I will conclude this week's Waxo Report. If you want the newest updates on the channel or gaming news as it happens through the week, be sure to follow me on Twitter at WaxoPlays. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you can be amongst the first to watch new videos. Otherwise, until next time, take it easy.